Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Jose Otero, and I'm here with Caleb Lawson. So the Wonderful 101 is coming out soon, and we've been playing it, and we asked the IGN community for a question. So here are 10 questions from the IGN community about the Wonderful 101, and we're going to take turns answering them. So first one from RickBoy79, he asks, I like what I've seen of the game. However, I still don't understand how it plays, what it is. Is it an action, puzzle game? Like, how do you control 101 heroes at the same time?
Well, it's sort of more than one question, but it's a big one to get right off the bat. Because some people, I think, are Pikmin just came out, the games might look somewhat similar, and that there's that top-down look, and there's a lot of characters running around.
Sure.
Wonderful 101 is definitely an action game. It's a straight-up, through-and-through, combat-based action game. There's some light puzzling, some light platforming, but this is much more like Bayonetta or a Devil May Cry, a game like that. Yeah,
and it's made by the same creators. This is Hideki Kamiya, who has done some amazing work in the past, so you should look him up if you haven't already.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so what's our next question?
So you've been playing. I finished the game this morning, but you just got into it a couple days ago.
That's right.
Elia Pales asks, how long does it take to get used to the controls?
That's a good question. So like a standard action game, you have straight-up melee attacks. You have access to these moves called the Unite Morphs, which you draw on the touchscreen or using the right analog stick. And you get to choose whichever one you want to use. I feel like off the bat, the game does a good job of easing you into the scenarios and getting used to drawing each weapon. There are even cutscene moments where they specifically will say, like, Unite Sword, and it's your cue to draw the weapon on screen. So far, I'm adapting, but I feel like there's still some compromises I'm making. Because I have both inputs, I'm trying to decide which one works for me, and I'm still kind of struggling to figure out, am I more touchscreen focused or am I more right analog stick focused? How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the issues that people had when the demo launched, if you are curious, there is a demo on the eShop, so definitely check it out. It's a good boot camp that kind of gives you an idea of how to play the game. One of the issues people were having was they didn't grasp the controls right off the bat, which is understandable. I mean, like any combat action game, you need to learn what you're doing. You don't jump into Street Fighter and all of a sudden start busting out 17-hit ultra combos or whatever.
Right, yeah, right.
Similar sort of concept here. You got to start learning. By the time you finish the game, though, it's all second nature. I mean, I was busting out Unite Morphs left and right. It's awesome.
Yeah. So to maybe answer your question a little more specifically, I'd say within an hour, I got the sort of idea down. The first stage does a good job of easing you into it, and then the second stage is more like the demo, which is on the eShop.
Yeah,
so,
practice. And if you don't get it, just keep practicing. The game wants you to.
Okay. So Odrigo.br asks, is drawing with the analog stick more precise than with the gamepad?
I don't think either one is necessarily more precise. I think there's actually some really good visual feedback no matter which one you use. Like, you'll see the line that you're drawing both on the gamepad and on the screen. I think they're both precise. The stick is definitely faster.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Yeah, and you can upgrade the system behind drawing the Unite Morphs. There's a move called Speedliner you can buy later in the game. It's pretty expensive, but once you do, with the right stick, you're able to draw these shapes faster, which is really useful. Like I said earlier, I'm having trouble kind of deciding which one I want to go with. On the demo, because some of it is a bit easier, I was using the touchscreen to do my drawings. But in the middle of all the chaos, I feel like the right stick seems like the faster option to go.
Again, that gets us into the next question.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
A lot of questions about controls. Rapham35 asks, which one do you prefer?
Yeah, and right now, I want to prefer the touchscreen, but I'm defaulting to the right analog stick.
All right stick. Once you go right stick, you never go back.
Okay.
I mean, like later in the game, I know it's probably technically possible to play with the gamepad, but it gets fast.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine taking my hands like off the buttons, to use the pad.
Sure.
When there's a lot of crowd control to worry about.
Yeah, and with the touchscreen, you got to keep in mind too. You're trying to keep your eye on the game. You definitely don't want to take it off to look down, and so you're just kind of drawing these shapes without looking. So the shapes are simple enough that most times it's going to work, and you're getting the visual feedback on screen. But yeah, I want to try to make it through with the touchpad. Let's see how long that's going to take. All right, The Noise asks, can it be played exclusively with the gamepad? Can it be played with the Pro Controller?
Yes, and yes.
Yep.
Definitely both.
And in multiplayer, you can use both, actually.
Yep. Colin Alexander D asks, are there Unite gestures for all 100 superheroes, or is it limited to just 10 or so?
So, interestingly, there's a specific cap of how many different heroes have a Unite Morph. and they're separated by their weapon class. So some have swords, so they all technically use Unite Sword. Some have the hammer, some have the fist that Wonder Red uses. And that's why this game has a system where you can change up the leader of the party. So it doesn't always have to be Wonder Red, Wonder Green, Wonder Blue, the guys on the box. It could be any one of sort of the surrounding characters in the background, which is super cool. But is there a limit? Like, you finished the game.
So, I mean, the 6 basic powers you use all the time, they're the colored powers: Wonder Blue, Wonder Red, Wonder Green, Wonder Pink, Wonder Black, Wonder White, Wonder Yellow. Without spoiling anything, there are a few more powers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Caleb, this is a good question for you because I have not finished it yet. Casey Rivera asks, how long is it? On normal, how long should it take to see the ending?
So my game clock was right around 16 hours.
Wow. Okay.
And that's sort of just a straight playthrough, point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
You know, putts around a bit playing with the combat, but there's a lot of game there.
Sure, sure.
And, you know, of course, being a combat-based action game, you unlock further difficulties, you want to go back in and open up more areas. There's a lot to do. But yeah, 16 hours first run through.
Okay. And there's also a mission mode and other places you can spend your time, so that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, which leads to the next question,
Nice.
which is Nitzan Z asks, is there multiplayer and how does it work?
So they have, and this is currently on the demo as well, that's on the eShop, but they have a mission mode where you can sort of test out and basically activate multiplayer. They can just join in. Everyone has to use a Pro Controller though. No one's going to get away with using just the Wii Remote because you need a second stick in order to draw on the other controllers. The way it works so far is cooperative. Caleb and I played a little bit this morning, but we're going to have a sort of detailed commentary video talking about multiplayer next week on IGN.
Yeah.
Cool. And sorry, I forgot. It's my next question. Paranoia Agent 290 asks, now get ready for this question.
Okay.
Is the game epic as hell? Breaking space and time, you know.
Is it breaking space and time, you know? Well, Platinum is known for kind of going over the top, right? And
Definitely.
Kamiya is known for that as well. I don't know if you've played Bayonetta. I mean, the way that I kind of explain Bayonetta is the game starts here and then goes like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wonderful 101 is sort of the same way.
Okay.
I finished the game this morning, and you know, once again, without spoiling too much, I was really late for work.
Yeah, like 2 hours late, like 2 hours. No, and that's something that even a few hours into the game I'm seeing where sort of the scale and the level of destruction gets really crazy really early. You have like these full-size bosses throwing buildings at you. They've just got like Man of Steel level like destruction going on.
Yeah,
and it's a lot
so
of fun
cool.
at the same time. And they have a smart way of making you a participant, right? This could easily be a very cutscene driven game, but they'll prompt you to draw something like Unite Sword or Unite Gun and then participate by like mashing buttons to try and, you know, achieve something, which is cool. It ultimately makes you feel like you're a part of that action.
Yeah, I think if you've played games by these developers before and you expect that level of epicness, you won't be disappointed.
Okay, all right.
Which sort of leads into our last question, which Adam McBride asks, is this game a system seller? It's a Wii U exclusive.
Sure.
Is this game worth getting Wii U for?
See, I don't know, man. This is tough because I feel like the idea of the system seller is a tough thing for anyone because this is such a genre-specific game. It's a hardcore game made by a hardcore game creator. And ultimately, if you are that gamer, absolutely, this would be something that you should jump in on. However, if you're not, if you're not into the action game and sort of the crazy level that Platinum will take those games, I don't think this is for you because it's just so difficult.
Yeah, I mean, they did make it very accessible with easier difficulty modes.
That's right.
With the gamepad controls, but at the same time, I think in order to really get what the game is offering, you need to be able to really dig into it.
Sure, this is a genre title. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I did buy my Wii U for this and for Rayman.
Yep.
Those were both originally launch window games.
Sure.
Here we are a year later, and finally, I'm really excited to be a Wii U owner. But yeah, not necessarily for everyone.
Sure, and I was on board when it was like Project P100, like in its early announcement days. So I think if this is your jam, if this genre is your thing, totally. Cool, man, and that's all our questions. So we're going to have a lot more Wonderful 101 coverage coming to IGN this week, so stick around.